Welcome. Step back into the ancient world, where the art of healing was an immersive interplay of faith, grit, and botany. In altar, arena, and apothecary, we explore the sensory realities of early medicine, from sacred temple altars where the sick sought divine intervention, to the arena floors where trauma surgeons refined their craft, to the rustic apothecary tables laden with raw resins and plant remedies. Join us as we uncover the sights, sounds, and substances that defined humanity's earliest struggles against pain and disease. While history often frames ancient medicine as an abstract philosophy of balanced humours and Hippocratic ideals, the healer's true world was visceral, tactile, and raw. It was not lived in theoretical debates, but in the physical reality of the craft, the cold friction of bronze instruments against bone, the pungent scent of freshly crushed resins, and the harsh, immediate demands of the trauma ward. In 145 AD, a divine vision led the architect Aelius Nicon to dedicate his son, Galen, to medicine. Galen's education began at the Asclepieion of Pergamon, a sanctuary engineered for holistic healing. Here, devotion to the god Asclepios was woven into rigorous physical regimens. Patients sought recovery through long walks, immersion in mineral-rich sacred springs, and strict dietary moderation, establishing an extraordinary bridge between sacred ritual and early medical science. To earn a miracle from Asclepios, seekers first underwent catharsis, a ritual purification to strip away miasma. Cleansed, they descended into the dark abaton for enkoimesis, the sacred incubation ritual. Fasting and resting upon the cold stone floor alongside the temple's roaming sacred snakes, suppliants waited in the stillness. They surrendered to sleep, desperate for the god of healing to touch them in a dream, whether to perform a miraculous surgical cure or to deliver a divine blueprint for their recovery. In 157 AD, Galen stepped into the arena as physician to the gladiators of Pergamon, turning a place of combat into antiquity's ultimate clinical trial ground. Where his predecessor saw 60 fighters perish, Galen dramatically transformed survival rates. By implementing strict hygiene, targeted wound irrigation, and clean dressings, he reduced the casualty count to just 5. Through the brutal realities of the arena, Galen proved that revolutionary surgical care and meticulous sanitation could triumph over death. Here are the pragmatic tools of the ancient arena surgeon. Precision steel scalpels excised damaged tissue to prevent deep-seated infection, while heavy bronze hooks retracted muscle fascia during deep tissue debridement. Absorbent sea sponges were used aggressively to irrigate severe wounds and stem catastrophic blood loss. Working alongside bone saws and suture threads, these tactile instruments formed the frontline arsenal of ancient trauma care, turning the horrific casualties of the arena into a disciplined practice of life-saving medicine. Bound by strict laws forbidding human dissection, Galen transformed the horrors of gladiator combat into unprecedented medical insight, treating open wounds as windows into the body. Deep lacerations allowed him to observe muscle mechanics and visceral motion in a living subject, while puncture wounds revealed the fundamental dynamics of circulation, distinguishing the bright red, spurting surge of arterial blood from the dark, steady flow of venous blood. Through traumatic injury, anatomy came alive. Forbidden from dissecting human corpses, Galen turned to comparative anatomy, famously demonstrating his surgical dominance by publicly eviscerating an ape and repairing it when rivals balked. Relying on the dissection and vivisection of primates, pigs, and sheep, he mapped human biology by proxy. This brilliant workaround established a framework for medical knowledge that endured for 1,400 years. Yet because animal structures do not perfectly mirror our own, it simultaneously baked persistent, fundamental errors directly into the biological record. Leaving behind the surgeon's steel, we enter the physical workshop of the apothecary. Here, ancient pharmacology flourished as a deeply sensory craft, demanding the precise crushing, aging, and compounding of raw materials gathered from across the globe. Centuries later, in 1734, Venetian pharmacist Giovanni Battista Capello published his Lessico Farmaceutico Chimico, unsealing the closely guarded secrets of pharmaceutical compounds whose origins reached back to the heart of the Roman Empire. Born from Mithridateum, Theriac became antiquity's ultimate panacea. Emperor Nero's physician, Andromachus, expanded the formulation into a complex compound of 64 distinct ingredients, including roasted viper's flesh, skimmed honey, sea squill, and fine Falernian wine. Pulverized into an electuary and aged for 6 to 12 years to reach peak potency, this famed imperial antidote remained a cornerstone of pharmacy until the 18th century. Theriac was far more than a complex recipe, it was a triumph of ancient global logistics. Supplying a single dose demanded a vast trade network spanning the known world. Egyptian opium from Thebes, medicinal earth from Lemnos, copper ores from Cyprus, and exotic spikenard from India. To gather these rare ingredients, physicians navigated a trans-Mediterranean economic web. Ultimately, this legendary panacea proved that ancient medicine was not merely a local craft, but an empire-wide endeavor bound by global trade. For centuries, a vital piece of medical history hid in plain sight. In the 11th century, scribes scraped away Sergius of Resh, Ina's 6th century Syriac translation of Galen's On Simple Drugs, recycling the valuable vellum for religious hymns. Today, multispectral technology shines a new light onto the palimpsest, illuminating the erased text underneath and restoring a lost chapter of ancient pharmaceutical knowledge. Here, modern material science resurrects ancient knowledge through synchrotron X-ray fluorescence. By subjecting recycled manuscripts to intense X-ray beams, scientists excite the microscopic traces of iron remaining in erased 6th century ink. As the ancient text glows through layers of parchment, Galen's lost pharmacological legacy reemerges from darkness, proving that cutting-edge technology can peer through time to restore humanity's forgotten medical heritage. The evolution of ancient medicine rested upon three distinct pillars. At the altar, healing was rooted in sacred dreams, divine revelation, water, and marble. In the arena, it transformed into a visceral science of bronze and bone, forged through trauma care and empirical observation. Finally, in the apothecary, it expanded into a global alchemy of earthy resins, sensory craftsmanship, and complex trade logistics. Together, these three domains, the spiritual, the empirical, and the logistical, built the foundation of medical practice, uniting faith, surgical grit, and pharmaceutical mastery into a unified heritage. Ultimately, the history of science is not merely a timeline of abstract ideas or grand epiphanies. It was forged in the lived, tactile reality of the healer, in the very substances physicians touched, smelled, and prepared. To truly understand the evolution of human survival, we must look beyond philosophical theories and anchor ourselves in the physical materials that made healing possible.